Mrs. Feiss.
Here.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Here.
Mrs. Hoppy.
Here.
Mrs. Janasek.
Here.
Mr. McGregor.
Here.
Mr. Modrak.
Here.
Mr. Scalzo.
Here.
Mrs. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Christensen.
Here.
All 9 members present.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda for business items?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Who was the second? Yeah, okay. It was moved by Mr. Grisbeck, seconded by Ms. Hoppy to adopt the agenda.
Voting is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. McGregor? Motion carries.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the 4/12/22 meeting and the 4/26/2022 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Scalzo.
Voting is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. McGregor?
Again, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I want to announce the executive sessions we've had in the past month on May 10th, 2022 for personal, other legal matters and to receive information. May 17th, 2022 for personnel, other legal matters and to receive information. And May 24th, 2022 for personnel, other legal matters and to receive information. Do we have a student government report? Excuse me, could you just slide the microphone over, or is there a remote microphone you could use here?
Oh, there is. Is that what this is?
All right. So we had. Oh,
There, maybe that's the one comfortable.
okay. So we had our last Senate meeting of the year today. So with kind of reflecting on the year, how it's gone. It's been a crazy year, just in general, but we were able to get a lot accomplished in SGA, and I think the students also enjoyed what we did throughout the year. We were able to we had a lot of interaction, I feel like, between the student body and SGA more than we have in the past years. And morale seemed to be pretty high this year too, which is always good. So as we also had the end of the year meeting, we also had new positions for our e-board. So today I brought the incoming new school board reps. This is Cam. He's a 11th grader going into 12th grade. And Lila, who is a freshman, she will be becoming a sophomore next year as well. I'd just like to say it's been a pleasure sitting in the meetings and giving reports, informing people about what we do, why we do it, stuff like that. So thank you.
Okay, next, Caitlin, do you have a PTO, PTA report?
Yep, I do. This is Caitlin Metzler. So on behalf of the PTO Council, I'll present our report today. For Abraham Lincoln Elementary, the Lincoln PTO held a sweetheart dance on May 13th. This was formerly the father-daughter dance, and every Lincoln student and their parent or caregiver was invited this year. The kids dressed up and danced the night away with a DJ while enjoying sweet treats, refreshments, and a photo booth. Congratulations to Lincoln's 4 winners in the 2022 WQED Writers Contest. Kindergarten had a first place winner, Anna Schubert Milnick, second place with Teddy Griffiths, In the second grade, they had a second place for Jacob Anderson, and in third grade, they had second place for Hazel Kramer. Way to go, winners. They were so happy to celebrate the Lincoln staff during Teacher Appreciation Week. Volunteers ran the last school store in the beautiful sunshine. They are also preparing for field day and the fourth grade party. George Washington Elementary. George Washington recently held their sports day, the first since 2020 due to COVID. The students were very happy to enjoy this event again. All grade levels competed in several outdoor sports and game stations. Several local mascots, including the BP Hawk, were present for the big event, which is the tug of war. The end of the year will be celebrated with Family Fun Night on May 27th. This family event will include several bouncy houses, carnival games, food trucks, a photo booth, and many more fun activities. Both of these events take a lot of helping hands, and the PTO would like to extend many thanks to all of their wonderful parent and teacher volunteers. William Penn. William Penn Elementary School has an exciting end of the year planned for its students. On Tuesday the 24th, they will have a career fair assembly and college trade school spirit dress-up day to get the students excited about the event. On the evening of Wednesday, May 25th, students will each receive a passport and the opportunity to visit 40 different individuals representing a wide variety of careers. The career representatives will teach the students about what they do for a living and give each student a stamp for visiting their booth. The following day, they will have a career dress-up day where the kids can dress up for the career they are most inspired by. Their school talent show will be on June 1st in the evening on the Blacktop. They have musicians, dancers, comedians, stage crew, and presenters who are all excited to share their special talents with their school. Neil Armstrong Middle School. Neil Armstrong Middle School PTO has been busy wrapping up events for the year. They held their spring fling on May 13th and had about 360 kids in attendance. The students had a blast with a tattoo artist, DJ, and photo booth. 5th and 6th grade fun days were held last week. Kids had fun being outside, playing games, and socializing with friends. PTO would like to thank all parents and staff who helped this year be as successful as it was. Independence Middle School. The IMS PTSO is very busy with planning the 8th grade move-up day that will be held on May 27th. They are thrilled this event can happen again this year. And on behalf of the PTO Council, we would like to thank Laura Hoffman, who is an outgoing co-president, for her many years of service. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Solicitor's report.
Thank you. I provided my report in executive session to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any committee reports? Ms. Hoppy?
So I just have one quick little something from Steel Center, which I think is incredibly cool. Recently, they've acquired an anatomage table, which is a virtual cadaver that's projected onto a screen. It's a life-size table with this virtual cadaver, and they can access all of the body systems, the parts. They can turn the body, they can slice and dice, and it's a huge contribution to the health sciences department at Steel Center. So the students will have access to study with this hands-on learning tool. It was provided through grant funding and some fundraising. It's an $80,000 piece of equipment, and our students in the health sciences at Steel Center have access to that. So just wanted to report.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Any other things going on? Okay. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'll start with to share. We received a certificate from Senator Devlin Robinson, who recognized that Bethel Park was once again honored by the NAM Foundation as a great communities for music education, and this has been probably a several decades long tradition to earn that designation in Bethel Park, and we're most proud and we appreciate the Senator's recognition of that tradition. Second piece is to share with the board two of the staff members that are on your agenda tonight for retirement. The first is Linda Kuntz. She was hired in September of 1982 as a bus driver, and she served until 99 and came back again in 2002 as a sub-driver, and then in 2004 became a full-time driver, and she'll retire from that position at the end of this school year. And Mr. William Herman started with the district as a substitute bus driver in April of 2011. In 2012, he became a full-time bus driver, and he holds that position today. Those two retirements are on your agenda tonight. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Cromie, who has his 5 big things to share with the board and the community. Mr. Cromie?
Yeah, so for those who aren't as familiar, we do this every month. We want to share some of the ratings of how the work goes on one of the 5 things. And one of the fun things that we do is share just some in no order. And anyone
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Could you use the microphone?
Yeah, that's my fault. That's my fault. I've only done this 3,000 times. So anyway, so the 5 big things, we certainly do what we can to highlight some of the wonderful things happening around Bethel Park. So our first one is not working. Oh. First one, we celebrated some exploratory days. Many district schools recently celebrated exploratory days, giving students access to a number of different traditions and cultures or career paths to which they normally wouldn't be exposed. For example, students at Memorial Elementary School were treated to the traditions, wardrobes, and culinary delights of a number of countries all around the globe. That was an amazing exhibit that they had there, and some of the countries featured included Germany, France, Switzerland, the UK, Ireland, Greece, South Korea, Japan, and Ethiopia. I still can smell that Ethiopian food, and it was delicious. IMS also, they had their annual, first ever Dice Day, and William Penn, as was mentioned earlier, tomorrow will have a career fair and exploration event at the school for students from 6 to 8 p.m. at the school. They've worked really hard at it. And they had an event today. They had an assembly for the kids, and it was wonderful. It featured several of our students who are currently members at Steele Center also talking, and it was just it was a wonderful event. Earlier this month, Bethel Park's biology students spent a few days participating in the CRISPR-Cas9 genetic modification lab. The event was led by their teachers with the help of Dr. David Boone, who's an assistant professor at Pitt's prestigious School of Medicine. Genome editing, also called gene editing, is a group of technologies that give students the ability to change an organism's DNA. Proponents say it is completely changing the face of medicine. I see someone was my star of the video that we did on that. And it was a really pretty amazing event. It's an incredible opportunity for our students to be part of something that is so genuinely cutting edge. Next. I'd like to congratulate the Lincoln Elementary students who just recorded top 3 grade level finishes in the WQED Writers Contest. Anna Schubert Milnick, a kindergartner, wrote Hedgehogs Go Wild, and she took first place. Another kindergartner, Teddy Griffiths, did Teddy in Space, and he was second place in that division. There were more than 800 entries, which is pretty amazing for us to take the top 2 spots in that. Jacob Anderson, who won last year along with his sister Olivia, he had Jake's dream job. He took second place, and Hazel Kemmerer, a 3rd grader, took 3rd place for Sunshine Bakery. We're very proud of all of them, and they really did a wonderful job. The hydroponic garden, we've talked about this a lot, I think. Mr. Espinar, who really does an amazing job, his class at Neil Armstrong, they've spent the past several months now cultivating a hydroponic garden. The students recently hosted a luncheon that featuring what they'd grown with salads topped by healthy oil and vinegar dressing and chickpeas that were roasted by Mr. Espinar. And whose room is where the hydroponic garden is located. And I can tell you, it was as someone who was invited to enjoy the salad along with Mrs. Figlioli. It was delicious. So they've really done an amazing job. They hope to expand it going forward, and I hope they're able to as well, because it was pretty incredible, and you can see the potential in it. And it's a true STEM lesson. And finally, we have our DECA students. DECA excelled at nationals. DECA always does an amazing job, and we're not surprised, but we're certainly proud. In late April, they went to Atlanta, and some of the winners, you can see the list of the winners there, and we're very proud of what they did. And here to talk about it more is Mrs. Smoller. So you can grab them. Yeah, bring them all up.
Which way should we face? Face the board. Should we use the microphone? Yes. Okay. Is it on?
Hello? It is on. All right. Well, thank you very much for inviting us today. I really appreciate the opportunity to recognize the efforts of all of our students, and I'm really excited to just give you a snapshot about what DECA is, and then I'll let each of our groups tell you a little bit about their project and what they've done. But if you're not familiar, DECA, it's an international organization of high school business students, and there's over 170,000 students involved throughout the world. Locally at our school, it's a co-curricular club through the marketing classes, which myself and Mrs. Christensen are the instructors. And in the classes, the students prepare for competition. We do a lot of community service, which you'll hear about with one of the projects today, and a lot of leadership opportunities too. One of our students, a sophomore, Lexi Dorfner, is going to be serving on the state officer board next year too. Another component with the classes, a lot of these students, or all the ones here today, did projects, which it can be from an integrated marketing, a business plan, operations research, project management, and these were comprised of 20-page papers and 15-minute presentations, which a lot of these, if you saw them, extremely college level or beyond, I say, with some of them. And a few of the projects were project management too, so it wasn't only writing a paper and presenting, but they had to organize our whole chapter throughout the project before they had a chance to start writing and working on their presentation. One other component of our class, which everybody here are all stars at our school store, Bean and Berry, they get experience working, managing, planning the operations of that store too, which has also benefited our club by raising funds to help pay for some of the competitions. This year too, they started working with Julie Hernandez's work-based learning center students in the store, with plans to continue with that next year too. Why we have this group here, just want to share some of the exciting news from our competitions. This is my 15th year at Bethel, and this is the most success at the state and national or international level that we've had, and especially considering I think we took about 57 students to states. I think it was 34 of them placed in the top 6 and qualified for internationals. And then we took a group of 34 to internationals, and then everybody here today was a finalist, which that means you placed in the top 20. There was 17,000 students, I believe, across all events. They were competing against like 200 other groups. We have all the groups here today were in the top 20, and then we have 2 groups represented today also that were in the top 10. So I'm going to turn it over to the students to tell you a little bit about it. We have at least one person from each group. We had 4 groups comprised of 9 students, so we have at least one from each group. So they'll tell you a little bit about their project and what they've gotten out of DECA. And I'm going to start with our 2 seniors.
Hi, I'm Sadie Fedor, and as she said, I'm a senior this year, and I was also one of the co-presidents of our DECA chapter for this past school year. My partner, Anastasia, and I placed 6th place in a sales project event. Our sales project was about fundraising for our DECA chapter. As co-president, we noticed there was not a lot of participation interest this year, and we figured out the main reason was the money that goes into participating in DECA events. This includes the school activity fee, the DECA membership fee, that's an international membership fee, as well as the cost to participate in States in Hershey, which is around $300 to $400 per student. To go to Atlanta, it took a little over $1,000 for each student. So this combined was around $1,800 per student if they wanted to participate in all the competitions and advance their learning. So we decided to introduce a new product mix of fundraisers for this school year. These were all in collaboration with some local businesses like Pittsburgh Popcorn, that's Rat Pepperoni Rolls, and Sarah's Candies. And in total, over all of our sales, we fundraised around $7,000 in fundraised money for our DECA chapter. That got us to place in 6th. And DECA in a whole has really helped me. It helped me decide my career path. I want to go into marketing. I'm going to pursue that in the fall at the University of South Florida. And it's just really helped me with public speaking. I definitely couldn't be here talking to all of you like this if it weren't for DECA. Yeah, so it's really a great club, and I love it. So I'm going to pass it to my partner, Anastasia.
Yeah, I'm Anastasia Antonucci. So Sadie really kind of covered a lot about our project, but a big thing that I wanted to point out is how Mrs. Smoller mentioned that 57 of our students went to Pennsylvania States, and then 31 qualified to go to Atlanta. Every single one of them had to use our fundraising promotional mix. So we kind of proved that throughout our project as well, and I just think that's really cool. And Sadie and I were super proud to, you know, be able to utilize that and help others utilize it as well to gain the experience that you get from DECA, because it actually means so much to me. Mrs. Smoller, I can't speak enough about how amazing of a teacher and a DECA advisor that she is. And it's such an important club and can help somebody in so many ways. And I also it helped me decide my path that I'm going to pursue, which is going to be finance at Penn State. So, yeah.
All right, my name's Mia Kakanya.
I'm Natalie Engel.
And we're juniors, and we competed in the Hospitality and Tourism Operations Research event, which we did it on Kelly's Dairy Delight, which is an ice cream shop, pretty local. It's on Broughton Road. I worked there, so it was an easy place for me to pick. So this year's topic for this event was how to boost employee engagement and morale. So we did a lot with our employees. We used our research methods to make some conclusions. So we sent out an online survey to the employees. We did some secondary research as well as a focus group that we conducted in our high school. And we just used all this information to make plans for the future for Kelly's on how we can boost the employee morale and make people want to stay there and continue working there, especially with COVID. From DECA, I've learned so much. Miss Fuller is an amazing she runs it so well. I've gotten to experience so many things. I never thought I would get to go to Atlanta by myself as a high schooler, leave my parents for a few days. It was really nice. But it's everything that I've learned for DECA is amazing, and I love everything about DECA.
Hi, I'm Olivia Masseri. I'm a junior this year, and my partner and I, Addison Hill, we conducted a community awareness project with the Adoptive Family Organization of South Hills. And for this project, we just wanted to gain awareness throughout Bethel Park about those in need during the holiday season who may not be as financially stable as others in the community. So this year, we adopted 12 different families who applied for this position to get gifts donated to them for Christmas Day. And we gained awareness around 23,000 members all throughout Bethel Park, and there were 8 clubs in the high school who were involved in our project as well. And this just allowed for all the families who may not have Christmas presents or cannot afford them be able to enjoy their Christmas together as a family and just share memories. And Mrs. Smoller really helped us with this project. She helped us organize it, and we couldn't thank her enough for all the involvement she does in DECA. And it's really a great opportunity for all high school students to participate in.
Hello, everyone. My name's Owen, and my partner Mason and I participated in the Personal Financial Literacy Promotion Plan. For the Financial Literacy Promotion Plan, we wanted to focus on increasing the awareness on the importance of financial literacy. And we did this by implementing a series of games, activities, note sheets, and presentations throughout our marketing classes. We truly believe that financial education is very important to not only the success, but the sustainability of our generation. And we even did this through social media and reaching out to students to realize how much they truly want to know about finance, but weren't able to accommodate it in their schedules. DECA is probably the best decision I've ever made in high school. It really helped me build skills and make memories that I won't ever forget and will forever use in future careers and university settings. Mrs. Smoller has done a great job, and I just want to thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate taking the time listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one thing on DECA, I have to vouch, I've been a chaperone like 2 or 3 times at state and national. And it is an amazing organization. The kinds of things you talked about, putting together a business plan, marketing plan, being able to make a presentation, influence people. Those are the kinds of skills that are the path to success regardless of the career you choose. So great job. And I encourage anybody to be a part of DECA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crummy, for your 5 big things. We're going to move over to the other side of the room there for the curriculum updates from our coordinators.
This month, I wanted to share with you it used to be an annual event with a brief COVID interruption, but the art department brought back the Arts Fest and STEAM Expo this year. It was held on May 7th at the high school, organized primarily by Mr. Wallish, Kent Wallish, who is the department chair for the art department, and just truly, for those of you who were able to attend, such an impressive event. The things that our students are creating. There were some elementary projects this year that were included. I wanted to share some of the posters that were designed. The art department had a contest and selected posters that were designed by the students, and these were displayed in the buildings throughout the school district. And also Mr. Cromie used them on his social media communications. And there were many, many submissions. These were just the 5 that were selected. And I took a lot of photos. There were so many people involved, and so I thought the most shortest and respectful use of your time would be to put them in a video. said, it was more than just the art department. It was truly an exceptional event, and I was just blown away, being relatively new to the district, at what our students and teachers are capable of. And long-term, one of my goals for the district is that art is infused in all of the core subjects. So I'm really glad that Mr. Wallish was including the STEAM component as well. And I want to save the date, mark the calendar. My second week here this year, we celebrated Dot Day, and this is an annual celebration. So mark your calendar, September 15th of 2022 will be our second annual Dot Day. And I won't waste your time telling you more about this event. Those of you who participated in it, I know we have a lot of business to do, but we will be, the author of the Dot book also has what's called a Create Trilogy, and there are 3 books. And so we won't want to beat that same book to death every year, so we'll use those Create Trilogy books in between. So next year we'll be using the book called Ish, and making sure that K to 12 we're celebrating creativity in the district. So save the date and buy something with dots.
Hello, good evening. Today I want to reflect and plan forward for our kindergarten class of 2035, which seems such a far way off. So we had our screening day on May 17th, 2022 at Neil Armstrong Middle School, I apologize. And we did this, all 5 buildings came together, and we welcomed 240 roughly families into be screened. We also held some of our AIU English language screenings, and we had our nurses and our speech teachers on hand to address any questions and help parents and families with any inquiries they had about the process of registration. And here we just had some students with all of our kindergarten teachers working to see the students, their alphabet skills, their colors, their shapes, their numbers. And this was a great opportunity. I told everyone I got 16,000 steps this day, walking 5-year-olds to and from their parents to the screening, where I learned all kinds of fascinating things about favorite colors and animals and summer plans. And so they are all very excited. And it's really refreshing to get back into the buildings with the students. So this is one of my all-time favorite days. I think I held a hand or talked to virtually every single incoming kindergarten student. So it was a wonderful day. We have our orientations coming up on June 6th. These will be held in the home buildings, and each student will be provided with a Summer Learning Welcome to Bethel Park bag. It will have a tag with their name on it. It will have a calendar of things to do, some activities, some Welcome to Bethel Park kindergarten pencils. Every child will receive a hardbound book. I'm a paper person, so I love the power of having a book in your hand that every child can look at, to touch, to feel. And the students will also be receiving the yard signs. So we will be covering Bethel Park neighborhoods in the orange yard signs, welcoming them to our Bethel Park school community. And our save the date is Camp Invention. This year, Camp Invention will be held at Neil Armstrong, July 18th through the 22nd. And this is for students, I want to make sure I get this correct, entering kindergarten through 6th grade. It is $255. This is not an event sponsored by Bethel Park, but they utilize our space, and we have been doing this for many years. So if anyone is interested, this will be a live link. And you can click on this live link and register your students for this wonderful STEAM opportunity. Thank you for your time this evening.
Well, thanks to Mr. Cromie, and thank you, Mrs. Figlioli and Mrs. Wells, for your updates. I only have one last piece from my part of the agenda. That is, the board received at your places this evening a second installment in my regular monthly series of updates on our strategic plan. This one refers to the 6th goal of the strategic plan, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee's goals, and it's an update on where things are with all of those efforts. The first goal spoke to administrative training and capacity building for staff on supporting students' feelings of connect, respect, and value. Some things accomplished there and some things in the works. Probably have a lot of that accomplished certainly before the start of the next school year. The second goal listed there is the students' feelings of connected, respect, and value through their activity participation, through their a selection of courses, rigorous courses, and their participation in extracurricular programs and clubs. And the last goal, it would be professional development for students, staff, administrators, and some tools that the faculty can use also when reviewing curriculum materials as well. So it's been that was a productive committee. I appreciate the support of all the committee members that served over the past year. That task force accomplished a lot, and we appreciate them handing this all over now to our principals, building administrators to carry that torch forward and making sure all students are connected, respected, and valued in Bethel Park. We'll continue to update the board each month on different pieces of the strategic plan. I appreciate that opportunity to keep you apprised of our progress with those ambitious goals that we set for Bethel Park over the next 5 years. And that is all I had for you.
Great, thank you. Are there any public comments on the agenda items? So this is just for the agenda items that are on tonight's agenda.
How's everybody doing? Brendan McCarthy, 101.
Sir, if you could use the microphone. There you go. Thank you.
Brendan McCarthy, 101 Jordan Drive. I'm here today to speak in favor of the trauma-informed approach policy that's going to be discussed. I think in light of today, we understand there's something wrong. There's something going on in our schools. It's going on everywhere. You don't have to live in a poor neighborhood. You don't have to live in a downtrodden neighborhood. This is happening everywhere. And I don't know what the answer is, but we need to be doing something to get a finger on the pulse of our students and find out what's going on. So hopefully that Bethel Park is never the one in the news. So that's all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Raymer, 5062 Orchard Avenue. I am addressing the board about the trauma-informed approach policy. I've been an elementary teacher, a high school coach, a public school principal, and a supervisor in an approved private school for students with emotional needs. My husband and I were foster parents of 2 children who were identified by the foster agency as having mental health problems. And our children came to live with us when they were 9 and 10. When staff are trained in the effects of trauma, they are better equipped to understand students' behaviors. Trauma changes the wiring in the brain. Students have difficulty concentrating. They don't focus. They can be hypersomatic, overemphasizing the slightest illness. They can be paranoid about possibilities of danger, and they can appear angry, uncooperative, needy, or clingy. Trauma is different for every child. 2 children can experience the same event, for example, a flood. One child becomes anxious every time there's a weather report about rain. When they're in school, it begins to rain. They could be irritable, angry, cry. Another child with the same flood experience is not concerned. So what are examples of trauma that students in Bethel Park might experience? Chronic illness of a parent, death of a parent, physical abuse of themselves or a family member, a car accident, violence in the neighborhood, consistent bullying. The effects of trauma impact the classroom. When trained in trauma-informed care, teachers begin to identify the reasons for classroom behaviors in a different lens. This does not mean that teachers are expected to be psychologists. Teachers are better able to talk with kids about issues that teachers handle daily. Absences, disruption with other students, inability to finish classwork, angry outbursts for simple requests. My husband and I, both public school administrators, decided to not send our foster children to public school. We decided to send them to small religious schools where they would be in small classrooms. We talked to the administrators of both schools about their sexual abuse and constant neglect. We thought that this more supportive environment would be better for our kids. And at the
Marian,
first
Marian,
parent-teacher conference...
I'm sorry, we have a limited 2 minutes, so you're going to have to wrap up pretty
Okay.
soon. So, sorry about that.
Teachers who know how to respond to students with trauma backgrounds know about body language, personal space, tone of voice, wait time, all techniques that do not escalate situations with students who have trauma backgrounds. Giving administrators, teachers, and staff training in trauma-informed care is another tool in their toolbox which reduces teacher stress, improves interaction with students, and provides a healthier, productive classroom environment for all students. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Any call-ins? No? Okay, very good. Moving on to the business items. Ms. Hoppy, can you take the consent agenda items, move those?
So we have 32 items on the consent agenda this evening. 1, acceptance of resignations. 2, appointment of personnel. 3, involuntary transfers. 4, change of assignment. 5, approval of staffing changes. 6, approval of unpaid leave of absence. 7, approval of job description. 8, approval of administration tuition reimbursement. 9, approval of classified tuition reimbursement. 10, approval of extended school year staffing. 11, appointment of board treasurer. 12, May 2022 salaries and bills. Excuse me. 13, April 2022 financial report. 14, budgetary transfers. 15, approval of Steele Center for Career and Technical Education budgets. 16, waive of facility rental fees. 17, renewing of the food service contract. 18, approval of student services contracts. 19, agreement with Two Extreme Moms LLC, DBA Lois Johnson Learning and Child Care Center. 20, payment for Independence Middle School Phase 1 renovations. 21, approval of Frontline Education proposal. 22, Harris School Solutions web hosting migration. 23, acceptance of Rotary Club of Upper St. Clair Bethel Park grant. 24, lease agreement with First American Equipment Finance. 25, payment for Independence Middle School Phase 1 renovations. And 26, payment for Independence Middle School Phase 2 renovations. 27, payment for waterproofing repair. 28, approval of policy, a final reading. 29, revision to policies, final reading. 30, a student agreement. 31, a student agreement. And number 32, approval of the consent agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
It was moved by Ms. Hoppy, seconded by Mr. Scalzo to adopt the consent agenda. Any comments or questions on these that we put on the agenda last Tuesday?
Just to state that our two citizens come up about the trauma-informed policy, which is we are approving here tonight, just so they're aware of that. That was on last week's.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Dr. Walsh, you can walk through the process, because what's there isn't actually a process. It's just it's a kind of a mandate by the board for the administration to actually create the policy. You know, that's kind of how it reads right now. So can you walk us through the policy and when will it become visible? What's the timeline for creating this?
Right, so the policy that you have there will direct the administration to write regulations on trauma-informed instruction, having trauma-trained teams in the buildings, and programming for those teams to offer and provide for students. So this policy actually directs us to write regulations to implement all of those requirements. And I think we heard clearly tonight about the need for it, given the experiences that students are having and the level of stress and anxiety that our students have expressed or shared. And so we're anxious to get that moving here.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Voting is open.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm not seeing anyone. Are you not seeing it pop up?
No. Nothing, no.
All right. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Mrs. Fies? Yes. Mr. Grisbeck?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Yes.
Mrs. Janasek?
Yes.
Mr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Scalzo?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mrs. Scalzo, can you take the 3 items on the curriculum committee?
Yes. Under Curriculum Committee, we have 3 items. Number 1, independent study in art. Number 2, purchase of the Smithsonian Science. Number 3, Pennsylvania Department of Education Flexible Instruction Day application. I would like to move all 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is that? Second. Okay. So Mrs. Scalzo made the motion. Mr. Modrak seconded it. Any comments, questions on these?
Dr. Walsh, just for the public's benefit, could you discuss exactly what the flexible instruction days are?
For sure. So it's the 2019, the Department of Education gave school districts the ability to call for a flexible instruction day, which once the pandemic struck and things moved remotely, we learned had a totally different meaning than what was originally intended pre-pandemic. But flexible instruction days would be when we can't pick up students, but we can still have a school day. They can participate from home, or they could be dropped off at school and have an asynchronous academic experience where we would still have all the other services available to students that they would have come to need and rely on in the school, so counseling and nursing and cafeteria, et cetera. So this application would give us the ability to offer that again for 3 more years. You get 5 FID days a year you could use. So we have a extreme cold and we're not going to run the buses, we could still have a school day.
Thank you.
Mrs. Figlioli, could you go over what is the Smithsonian Science Program? Thank you.
In June of last year, the Science Curriculum Committee delivered a report to the board, and K1 through 4 adopted the Smithsonian Science Kits. These are hands-on kits based on the next generation science standards, which are very much in line with the standards that Pennsylvania is adopting. Those will become official as of July 1. So grades 5 and 6 piloted those kits during this school year, and they are very, very happy with the kits as well. So we will purchase these in the same way that we purchased the elementary kits, meaning we purchase next year's and then also 2 years worth of vouchers for renewing those materials. So essentially that amount is for 3 years of curriculum for grades 5 and 6. So that would have us grades 1 through 4 using the Smithsonian Science series. And I think it puts us in a really good place to transition to those new science standards. So those take effect July 1st, but our students won't be assessed on those, meaning on the PSSA exam on grades 4 and 8 and the Keystone Biology exam until spring of 2026. But I think that we are in a really good place in being prepared for that transition, and the teachers are well prepared as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gonna try voting.
Try it again. Voting is open.
Let's try it again.
See if it works this time.
There it is.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Turner.
Yes, this is for all.
Motion carries.
Mr. McGregor, can you take the Personnel Committee? Before you make the motion, can I have you hold out number 4, because I have to abstain from that one due to a conflict of interest?
Okay. On tonight's agenda, we have 8 items. 1, approval of extra duty responsibility program. 2, acceptance of resignations. 3, appointment of personnel. Going to hold out 4, which is the approval of summer program staffing. 5, change of assignment. 6, approval of staffing changes. Just bumped ahead. Number 7, approval of curriculum writing. And number 8, approval of curriculum revision.
Can I have a second?
Second.
So this motion is made by Mr. McGregor, seconded by Mr. Scalzo. Any questions on these?
Voting is open.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Can you take number 4 now?
Okay, and number 4, approval of the summer program staffing. I move that.
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. McGregor and seconded again by Mr. Scalzo.
Voting is open. Mrs. Turner?
Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries, 8 yeses, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Mr. Greisbeck, can you take the finance items?
Sure. We have 5 items under finance tonight. Number 1, adopt the 2022-2023 proposed final general fund operating budget. Number 2, items declared unused and unnecessary. Number 3, extension agreement with Precision HR Solutions. Number 4, Pathfinder School Administrative Budget. Number 5, approval of the purchase of busware. Does anyone want any of these items held out? Does anyone have any questions on any of the items?
Is there a second first?
Second.
Thank you. Now, does anyone have any questions on any of the items? Mr. McCausland, would you like to give some clarification on item number 1, that we are at this point not actually adopting a new millage rate, but rather this is the proposed final general fund budget?
Sure. I presented the budget last week at the agenda planning meeting. It has not changed. It has been posted on the district website. It is also available for review in the administrative offices. Right now, the budget stands at $99,873,538. There is a deficit currently in spending of slightly over $1 million. It does call for a 4% tax increase, bringing the millage to 23.4281. However, we are not, by approving this proposed final budget, setting that millage rate. The budget will continue to be worked on for the next 30 days prior to final adoption in June.
Thank you very much.
Voting is open.
Yes. No.
Thank you. Mrs. Janice, okay, there it comes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Ms. Turner, there's one item under policy, since you're not here, this is just a second of 3 readings, nothing to vote on. Any comments that you want to make about this policy for electronic devices?
No, thank you, but it is the second of 3.
Second of 3, right. Okay, that's the end of the business agenda. Are there any public comments on any other topics?
Good evening. Today, after reading the new trauma-informed policy for 3 months, it was finally approved, which is a good thing. Clearly, our society does not handle mental health appropriately, especially when it comes to children. The problem, though, is that this district has been going against this policy even as the policy was being read and reviewed. Specifically, I refer to an item that indicates the trauma-informed approach plan will include, quote, culturally responsive practices that focus on identifying, valuing, and integrating the cultures, languages, heritage, and experiences of all students and staff to ensure a supportive school climate and community. Last month, Bethel Park had an opportunity to get a head start on this by approving the creation of a curriculum for the Contributions, Leadership, and Successes elective proposed by Bethel Park faculty. Instead of allowing this curriculum to move forward, the idea was voted down. Also, towards the end of the policy, it goes into data collection. Specifically listed is the use of a climate survey. Again, last month, the district chose to undermine their own administration's ability to meet the data collection requirements of their own policy by refusing to allow the distribution of a student climate survey. There is a certain inconsistency here between what our school district is saying and what it is doing. The board should address this inconsistency by holding another vote on the Contributions, Successes, and Leadership elective and the climate survey and approving both. Doing so is the only logical path forward since everyone here read the policy at least 3 times over the past 3 months, and everyone agrees with each of these points. If they hadn't, it wouldn't have been voted to approve this new policy.
Any other comments in the audience?
Brendan McCarthy, 101 Jordan Street. First of all, thank you for passing the plan for a trauma-informed approach. I do believe that is extremely important, especially in light of the tragedy today in Texas. However, now that you have passed this plan, I feel the need to call attention to a couple things. In the trauma-informed approach, the need to assess the climate of the school is mentioned 5 different times. Yet 1 month ago, this board voted down an optional climate survey. Also, in the trauma-informed approach, it explicitly states that the implementation of the trauma-informed approach shall include, and I quote, culturally responsive practices that focus on identifying, valuing, and integrating the cultures, languages, heritage, and experiences of all students and staff to ensure a supportive school climate and community. Yet 1 month ago, this board voted against an optional class that would explore the rich history of minority cultures here in America. That all being said, I am asking this board, in light of its vote today, well, sorry, I misunderstood how it worked, but in light of the passing of this plan, to revisit its decisions around the climate survey and the elective class contributions, successes, and leaders. This all seems significantly more important considering the tragedies that occurred in Buffalo last week and in Texas not even 10 hours ago.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary McGarity, 2894 Maple Street. I think most of you know I loathe public speaking, but I feel strongly on this. I was waiting to see whether we passed this trauma-informed approach. Some of you that are familiar with me know my situation, and they know that this is a very important consideration to me. It's a very important issue to me. I didn't come here planning to speak. I came here thinking maybe I would. But I listened to what I could stomach of that last month's meeting, and listened to the repeated references to CRT. I would hope that we know that's not taught in grades kindergarten through 12th. So that fear-mongering that was used to maybe influence people, I don't know whether, like I said, I didn't come here prepared to speak. But I'm looking at these things and I'm seeing, we tell our kids to stand up to bullies. And what I saw last month, and like I said, with what I could stomach watching, especially after listening to that young lady speak of her experience in these schools and the things that she has had said to her, and to watch that get voted down by educators. Some of you are educators. I just felt I couldn't stay silent on that. I meant to do an email. I never did the email, so instead, I'm here doing this, which makes me extremely uncomfortable. But like I said, I think we need this in our schools. I think we're not taking it seriously, and bullying is definitely a problem. Diversity is definitely not being addressed, and we need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking, even though it is challenging sometimes, but thank you. Any call-ins?
No.
Any other comments from the audience? Okay, we'll shift to board comments. And I wanted to announce that John Gentile did pass away. And this is hard because he's a close friend, but we'll have counselors, I believe, in the school tomorrow. So maybe you could say a little bit more.
Sure. I think the board shares the grief of the whole entire Bethel Park community at the loss of a great teacher, a great coach, a father, a husband, a friend, and his passing, untimely passing and tragic passing will be really affect all of us. And we're here tonight talking about trauma and trauma-informed practices, and I think we're going to have to put our practices into action right now because we're all experiencing that trauma of the loss of an important influence in our lives. So we send our deepest sympathies to the Gentile family, his wife and son, his relatives, and of course the entire high school faculty, as well as the middle school faculty who worked with him for a time as well. So we will pause, I think, for a moment of silence in his honor and adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you. There'll be more information coming out, but it was a very tragic and shocking instance. Any other comments?
Hey, Barry, I just want to echo that. As a parent of a student who had a lot of interaction with him and his wife, my heartfelt sympathies and deepest prayers go out to the Gentile family, especially his wife and his son. Thank you.
Any other comments? No. Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.